If you're feeling like this in your job, I suggest looking into your human design. So, human design is a system kind of like astrology because it's based on your birth time, but also not really. I like to think of astrology as the more macro view of things, weather patterns, kind of what's going on with the planets, what's going on with our world, and how's that going to affect me. Human design, I like for a much more micro level, like who you are as an individual, what your individual energetic blueprint is, and how you can work with that. I specialize in human design for your career, so that's why I'm really passionate about using it with your job and figuring out how to align with the best career for you. So, this is what a human design chart looks like. You can just Google human design chart, put in your birth info. The time is really important here, so make sure you look at your birth certificate or get a exact answer from your mom or whoever would know. So this is my chart, so I'm going to use myself and my career as an example. The first thing I always look at with a human design chart is whether or not your sacral center, which is the center right here, is colored in or white. Mine is white, which means I'm a non-sacral being. The sacral center rules creativity, work, life force energy, everything in that category. I do not have consistent access to that energy, so I'm not designed to work consistently. There are 3 different non-sacral types. It's different for each type, but for projectors like me, we typically work in short spurts with periods of rest, and it cycles throughout the day. Manifestors typically go on, like a week-long sprint, a little bit longer of a sprint, and then longer rest cycles built in. And reflectors are basically based on the environment they're in or who they're around will determine how much energy they have to create and work. So while I would love to do human design full-time, it's my passion, it's the system I've been here to master, and I'm so excited to one day be able to do it full-time so I can help tons and tons of people. I live in the United States and have to work in corporate America until that happens. So the way I used human design to align with the right career for me was to first lean into my natural rhythms at work. I was working in a cold calling type role, and I was trying so hard to keep up with everyone around me who was doing a super high quantity of work. But I've always been a high performer and been able to be more efficient doing less, but getting the same results as my peers. However, before human design, that was always a huge source of guilt. So I would push myself to do more and more and more and perform higher and higher and higher, even though with doing less work, my results were showing the same as my peers were. So my first step was I knew I wanted to get out of cold calling role. It does not feel good as a projector to have to do cold calling, and for most people, honestly, it doesn't feel good. So I ended up applying to a bunch of different jobs and landed my first recruiting job. Nothing in my human design chart says that I would make a really good recruiter. It just so happened that by aligning with my natural work rhythms, by making decisions in my life based on my authority and strategy and all of the things that we get in our human design chart that teach us how to manage our unique energy, doing more of that every day is what put me on the path of being a recruiter. And now I'm 6 years in, and it's been a really fulfilling job, and I've been able to work with my natural spurts and rest cycles because it's a very cyclical type job where certain times you're doing a lot of work and certain times you're just kind of waiting around for people to get back to you, waiting around for answers, things like that. If you're interested in learning about your own chart and getting a reading from me, let me know. I'm doing readings.